All right, so we've reached the final stretch, part 4 of our database project. It is complete to our liking, I would like to say. It does the basic functionalities that it should be doing, and although there may be some things missing, for the most part, it is working. I want to go ahead and just go through everything we did, but before I do that, I just want to say thank you for this amazing semester to both the professor and the TA. Whoever is watching this, thank you. I appreciate the help. I appreciate you just teaching us everything you need to teach us. And honestly, I learned quite a lot from this class. My cousin's a database engineer, and he was pretty impressed from what I learned from the class. He said he learned. He said that I was definitely taught more than what he learned in his database class back when he was in college. So he was pretty impressed, and I'd like to say thank you, Professor, for all the hard work you put in to teach us everything we need to learn. Moving forward, I'm going to go ahead and make this as quick as I can because I know I normally have really, really long videos. So if you want, I'll just go and get started and just go fly through this. I'll show everything that you should need to have. So as soon as I log in as Angelo, right off the bat, you'll see the biggest creator, the biggest seller, the biggest buyer, and the hottest NFT. You can update the leaderboard in case you're wondering if a change happened or not. You can just keep updating it. It doesn't really do much, but it will update the leaderboard. I mean that functionality. I don't think I'll have to show, but yeah. So that's there. Then I'll go ahead and select from transfer, and I just want to prove to you that yes, the biggest creator is indeed Margarita. The biggest seller is indeed Janet. The biggest buyer is indeed Angelo, and the hottest NFT is indeed Looney Tunes. So let's go ahead and take a look. Right. We'll go with the biggest creator first. So you should be doing it through I believe creator comes from NFT actually. Let's take a look at this one. So yeah, creator is it here? Yes, it is. Awesome. So we'll look Margarita, and Margarita. She shows up 3 times, so she beats everybody. So therefore, she gets the first spot. Let's see, Janet as the biggest seller. So let's take a look. So seller obviously is going to come from the transfer table. So we'll look over here. And the seller is basically the origin. That's what we're counting as the seller. And we're given Janet. So let's see. Oh, Janet comes up twice here. Look at that. So she is actually the biggest seller. All right, Angelo, is he the biggest buyer? So buyer is being counted as the recipient, the person who receives it. Let's see. I can already tell. Angelo. So he shows up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and Rudy shows up 4 times. So earlier it was actually Rudy, because she had 4 and Angela had 3. But I guess so for testing purposes, or Looney Tunes part NFT name part wasn't working. Um, but now it's working. So if we look at the hottest NFT, it's just going by. So the way we did it was you count the NFT ID. So it counts with the NFT ID. It finds whichever one shows up the most. If it's tied, show both of them. If you look through here, the NFT ID that shows up the most, 5 Looney Tunes, they'll show up the most. And then what it's going to do is it is going to get that NFT ID, and then it's going to input it into I have it somewhere here. Right here, select name from NFT where NFT ID equals, and then it submits it into this query. It gets the name. Boom. Works like that. Fairly straightforward. That was the query code. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now let's show you 5. Now 5 is found through the user boards. Oh, also we added our transfer function. I wanted to show that too. I'll show that later. But we have the user boards. You click onto user boards, loads this up. 5 is comparing 2 different users. So we have Amelia and Amelia. Well, let's go ahead and do like I don't know, Angelo and I guess Rudy. Let's see if these two have any similarities. Submit. Oh, they both used to own Looney Tunes. Is that true? Let's take a look. Did they have the similarity of Looney Tunes? So the way this should work is it should look for the recipient is Rudy. So So Looney Tunes, Angelo bought Looney Tunes. He owned Looney Tunes for a bit of time, um, and then he sold it to Rudy, which then purchased Looney Tunes. So they both did own Looney Tunes at one point in time. That's awesome. All right, it works. So there's that, and that's part five. And then let me just go ahead and show that we added the transfer function, but I didn't update the name of this. I was just a bit too lazy. This should just be buy NFT, and then our transfer NFT is located in the list NFT. I felt like it just made more sense. And then if you want to transfer an NFT, you just type in the ID and then the name of the email of the person you want to transfer to. And so that's kind of how it works there. And then buy is just, of course, buy. And then look at this. You could update the leaderboard again, wherever it may be. Things like that, right? So there's proof that those all work, and wanted to make this quick. So 6 minutes. I think this is probably the fastest I've ever made my recording. Don't know how fast my partner does it, but I wish you a great semester, and I'll pass it down to CJ.
Uh, Hello, this is CJ. I'm going to re present for our database project, part 4, and I'm going to talk about the requirements from number 6 to number 10. The first, I'm gonna have our web project. I'm gonna have our web page running from logging. Uh, and After logging, just logging as a random user. And for the first one, the diamond hands, we gotta click the select the option on user board. So as you can see, I have all requirements 6 to 9 all set up on this page, in this table actually. Uh, the first one is Diamond Hands. What it does is it lists the user who had purchased some NFTs and then have never sold them after they purchased it. So what it does is we can look into the JSP file. Um, so what it does is it sends a uh, action. It's actually sends a action called user board, uh not from here but from activity page. It's called a user board. So when you click on actually from the main page user board, it's gonna trigger this action and get sent to the control sublet. It's gonna use this method as its action. So uh, the method is here, and we set. Actually, for all these four features, it all returns a list of users. So I put it all together to set the four different list. And for diamond hands, it calls the NFT dot diamond hands method. For this method, we actually use the SQL statement uh, to select the user we want in the workbench, and it returns uh, all the users into the list, and the list got returned back to the control sublet. Uh, the idea of the method we use is uh, to select the user uh, that is to select the user that who bought the NFT and which is recipient from the transfer table, and uh, the recipient name, and we also selected the seller, which is the origin, so and their NFT name for that cell, and if the a buyer who buy that NFT with the same name is not in the seller who sold that NFT, means they have in that table, means they haven't like sold that NFT after they purchased it. Uh, that's basically the idea. Uh, and same thing for the paper hand. Paper hand is about like the user who purchased some NFTs, but they sold them all like uh, afterwards. So that's gonna be opposite from the diamond hand. So it's like if the recipient with their NFT name that is in the uh seller seller and their empty name, it's gonna just gonna uh ex- include them like for they have sold the NFT they bought. And then it returns the list back to the control sublet. And then the good buyer. Actually, it's also there a method in the NFT DAO. Uh, the idea for that is what it does is it returns a list of user who has purchased at least 3 NFTs, which means we simply just have to select the uh, recipient, which is the buyer, from the transfer. And when the transfer type is S, which means it's a sale. It's not a transfer. Uh, and group ID recipient that counts the time they make a purchase when it's greater than or equal to 3. It actually records that user and put in list and return back to the control sublet. And finally, for number 9, the inactive user. For inactive user, it should return those users that didn't actually create or didn't buy, didn't sell, didn't transfer anything into the list, which we set it into the user DAO. And it's right here. So as it requires, our idea is to uh, choose the user from the user table and display their emails when we had joined the transfer and listing. So to check if they made any purchase or made any transfers or listed anything. So if all those values are equal to null, that means that that user didn't do any of these operations, so means that, it's an inactive user. And after we getting that list, then we just return back to the control sublet. And after we get all these numbers, all those user lists, we actually uh, just save it to the session and pass it to the user board, which as you can see on the tables right here, it just display all the users uh, for each requirements. And for number 10, uh, we ask for us to passing a user and to display the total number of their purchase and they have sold and they have transferred and the number of NFT that users own currently. So as you can see here in the statistics, we have a drop-down list to select the user. You can select either one, like Sophie, and hit submit. It's gonna display a table. Actually, have all the requirement entities over here. And how it works is, oh, and maybe if you select another one, it's just gonna display different message according to different user. So how it works is actually in the user board page, a JSP file, we have a session called statistic, and that allows us when we hit submit, it just give a action to the control servlet as a statistic, and it's gonna call the submit statistic method. Uh, and it's getting the email from our drop down list and mm, pass it to the statistics method in the user DAO, which is right here. The idea is pretty simple. It just select four things from each from the transfer table and the NFT table. It counts the total number when where its recipient is equal to the email we passed in, which means the recipient is the user who made the purchase. That returns as their number of purchase, and origin means they're the seller or the uh, one who made a transfer to another user. And this here actually determines if that's a item sold, NFT sold, or that's an NFT transferred, and we'll get the total number of that. And similarly, we select the owner for that email in the NFT, count the total number of that, and returns as the number of NFT that user totally owned currently. Uh, and we set we set all these number into the list, and that list it just got passed back to the control servlet. And finally, it's gonna uh, send a dispatcher to request to the page user board, and will display like what we can see here: the number buy, number sell, number transfer, and the number owned NFTs. And that's basically it for our part 4. Thank you for watching.